Which brings me to some of the economic changes that will take place under this system. And they call this the fourth industrial revolution, according to the World Economic Forum, or Davos. So let's start with production of goods and services and employment in this system. Now, something that's important to keep in mind at the back of your mind with companies is that companies are always trying to make more using less resources. So they want to have greater profits, but to keep their costs as low as possible. For example, they can do that by underpaying their workers or by not hiring enough people and completely overworking the few that they employ, and probably also not paying them enough of their value. So please listen to me. If you actually find people who actually want to improve the lives of their workers, that is the exception and not the rule. And the reason that I'm making that clear is so that you stop getting deceived by the arguments that AI is going to create more jobs. It will not. The number one reason why companies are running to integrate AI and robots into their factories is for efficiency and productivity. Efficiency meaning AI will do the jobs humans can do, and AI doesn't need actually a monthly salary. All companies need to do is maybe to subscribe to the AI or get the robots and maintain a servicing fee. So just in case you're not aware, they are really trying hard to develop robots that are much cheaper so that people can be able to purchase, so to increase availability. And aside from robots, we also have agentic AI, and this is an autonomous system that uses reasoning, planning, and tools to achieve complex multi-step goals with minimal human oversight. This is enough to take out interns and customer service guys. And even the AI companies themselves are firing workers. People are becoming redundant. And so this is the path to the full control of AI when it comes to work. It's a progressive takeover. So stage one, AI has learned and continues to learn from humans in every field you can imagine. Then that AI is deployed to do some simple tasks, but it can still replace some humans, meaning a small percentage of people lose their jobs.
There is no humans involved in the making of the coffee. There's a robot inside. And you've got a huge range of coffees. Let's get a caramel macchiato. You can pick which beans you want. Let's go for intense espresso. So you place order, scan the QR code, and just click pay now. Instant pay. And here we go. The robot has started. So the cup goes into the back there. So we've got some milk being poured into the cup. And there we go. Is coffee being added? It's now going into the back, and I can see ice being thrown into the cup. Taken over to this side, where the lid then drops on. That gets fastened by that. Coffee comes across, and there we go. There is my iced caramel macchiato on the streets of Shanghai for just over $1. Oh man, that is so good. Really strong coffee and a lovely taste of caramel through that. That is very refreshing.
Then AI continues to learn and to learn some more and continues to become complex, which leads to more human beings being replaced in more specialized jobs. Like for example, to the use of robots in manufacturing and to the use of agentic AI. Then the third stage is AI becomes more and more integrated into our professional or business. It becomes, not just integrated into our professional or business lives, but it becomes integrated into even the management of our societies, like in policing, in restaurant services, taxi services, games, sports. I can bet you that if people can pay less for a cab and they don't risk being raped by the cab guy, very few people are going to be thinking, let me support the human cab guys even if it costs me more. Let me just go for let me not go for the what are they called, self-driving cars. So that will lead to more unemployment in masses. So instead of deploying so-called military officers and training pilots, why not send drone fighter jets instead? Then the final stage is when the AI becomes fully integrated into every part of life. It starts running our economies, making the production of goods and services much cheaper, controlling our money system, and even our social lives. And so billions of people will end up becoming redundant. And so in such a world, just forget about using your degrees and forget about white-collar jobs. Very, very few people are going to retain their roles, and many roles are going to be automated.
第一眼看的就跟真人一样，起到一个震慑作用。
这个未来已经不是未来了。
它能根据我们交警的信号灯系统和交通警察形成密切配合，它也可以识别我们的非机动车的违法行为，让我们的执法过程、普法宣传更有温度、更有科技感。
安全是国家最近的路。
So I think jobs will be caregiving and maybe hairdressing, but I don't think people understand the magnitude of this thing. You know, work gives people a sense of identity, a sense of purpose, and a reason for living. Decent work is something that gives you esteem. And so in this environment, even depression itself is going to be off the roof.
The big political and economic question of the 21st century will be, what do we need humans for? Or at least, what do we need so many humans for?
Do you have an answer in the book?
At present, the best guess we have is keep them happy with drugs and computer games.
And this is now what brings me to what money is going to look like in this economy. So everything is going to go digital, like I said, all money and all financial transactions. And the main reason, like I said, is that it's going to leave a digital footprint. Where is the money going to who, from who, why, and for what? And on top of that, fintech has made financial transactions much cheaper and faster. Then number 3, they're going to say that it's going to curb corruption, illicit financial flows, and money laundering. And that this is the step that we all need to take. So all those things are going to be selling points that are going to be embraced by people. So your digital ID will be connected to your digital wallet. But now, because of these changes in production and employment, what I said is that as AI systems become more complex and sophisticated and interconnected and independent and autonomous and trusted by humans, most of our jobs are going to be wiped out. So what's going to be the implication of that? People are not going to have an income. And if people are not going to have an income, how will they continue with the consumer culture? Because they don't want you to have a job. Yet they still, they don't want you to have a job, and they want to take away the sense of identity and purpose that people get through their jobs. But at the same time, they still want to make sure that their companies are still making profits. That is how we land in the Universal Basic Income, or UBI. UBI is just a stipend that you're going to be given by the system for existing. So you're not working, but you're just going to earn enough to keep the entire system running.
With automation replacing so many blue-collar jobs and pretty soon white-collar jobs, we may need to consider bigger changes, and we should start talking about that now. Things like a shorter work week, or a universal basic income, or guaranteed income. Ideas that can spread work around and supplement the incomes of people as they shift to the much needed work that I mentioned earlier that can't be automated, that a program alone can't do. Things like childcare and education and health care and elder care. Some of these ideas are being tested as we speak. Right here in Chicago, there's a pilot program called Chicago Promise that's been giving thousands of low to moderate income families $500 in cash every month to help them meet basic needs. And it's modeled after a similar program in Stockton, California. And it's showing early promise because the thesis is you improve financial stability, you improve well-being of low-income families, they actually can fix a busted car, they don't have electricity turned off, their lives are more stable. It doesn't discourage them from working full-time. It, in fact, makes it easier for them to go out and find a job and work full-time. And more broadly, one of the bright spots coming out of the pandemic has been evidence that the generous benefits people received during the lockdowns, which is unusual for the United States. Maybe one of the reasons why the U.S. economy has actually seen an unprecedented increase in new business formation over the past couple of years, because people had a little bit of a cushion to go out and take a risk and try that new idea. And that's the thing about giving people a safety net and helping them achieve their basic needs. Not only does it relieve hardship, not only does it strengthen our democracy, it can also empower people to be more productive and raise their ambitions and set an example for their children. And that benefits all of us. And that benefits the economy. And that benefits business.
So since AI will have all our data because of the DID and monitoring and surveillance systems, it's going to be possible. And so even the amounts given in the UBI will be given depending on certain metrics, like are you married or are you single? How many dependents do you have? Are you a compliant citizen? Am I your defiant? How old are you? Would the government be wasting its resources if it were to give your resources to someone like you? Like AI might say, you're too old, we don't need to spend any more on you. And you might say, I can never accept to receiving UBI. Trust me, people will receive UBI because your livelihoods and your lives have already been butchered. Larry Madowo did a documentary in 2023 called Free Money because this concept was already tested in Kenya. I told you Kenya is a testing ground for many things. And then in addition to that, they also want to take away the ownership of land and property. So very few people will be owning land. Just in case you haven't noticed, that's the reason why property rates are off the roof. And at the same time, land and property rates and taxes keep increasing globally. And it's all to discourage ownership. Young people, unless you inherit land, how many people can actually afford to buy land in this day and age? The late millennials and Gen Z. So please don't think that it's all a coincidence that the land and property markets are so distorted and the prices are ridiculously inflated. Even if the markets have been messed up by maybe bad government policy and money laundering, please, if they actually wanted to fix things, it wouldn't have gotten to this point. But remember, everything is designed. So this is one of the reasons, this is the reason why Oparanya made this statement recently.
Nataka nyinyi muje muishi kwa hizi manyumba. Mwaje yale mashamba kule nyumbani, tupande mimea ya kusaidia watu wetu. Usilie kaburi hii ni ya mama, kaburi hii ni ya baba. Wewe saa mtoto, uite mama yako, uite baba yako, ndio mkumbuke hapo. Hapana mpaka uwe unakaa hapo, unaona kaburi yake, ndio unamkumbuka.
Now they want your land because they don't want you to own anything. And if you don't own anything, you're in pure bondage and you're at the full mercies of the government. Even if they say you sell your land to the government so that they can produce food for the country, that's a trap. So I know you're listening to me and some people must be thinking, Susan must be on crack and this is impossible. Tumewazoea, but let me enlighten you on something. As of about just 130 plus years ago, Kenya did not have a money system. It was mostly barter trade and subsistence farming. But when the colonialists came, in order for them to have power over our forefathers, they took away their land by force and then made them work on their own land as slaves and paid them physical money so that now they could operate in that new economy that the British brought to Kenya. So now even the food, they were being given food now from their own land, like being given like a small portion just to survive. So I know the skeptics and are normally the majority in every generation. So if the prophets of that time also warned and said that the British are coming, they must have also just said, it's impossible. Like the word of God says in Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 9, it says that which has been is what will be, and that which is done is what will be done, and there is nothing new under the sun. So humans just behave the same way. They always say it's impossible until it's done. Then also there's an algorithm being used by AI in e-commerce called personalized pricing. And at first glance, you'd think it means that you'll pay what you're able to afford, but it's actually the opposite. The algorithm tells you the price based on what it thinks you should pay because it has data on you already. So you think that you want to shop online and you think that the price that you're being shown is the price that everyone else is being shown. And that isn't the case. And you think that the wealthier people are going to be charged higher prices, but that is also not the case. They charge the wealthier people less for the sake of relationship building and also so that they can buy more because they're the ones who are most likely to buy more in terms of quantity. So watch this video.
In today's terrible travel news, Delta Airlines is bragging about how they're going to boost profit margins with a new AI algorithm that determines how much you will personally pay for your next ticket. In fact, they've already rolled this out and it's been amazingly favorable. And yes, they plan to boost profit margins by maximizing what individual passengers will pay for fares. They have already rolled this out across 3% of their fares, but by the end of the year, they hope to make that 20%. And eventually, they want to do away with static pricing altogether so that you only see your specialized price. Thanks, AI! Delta partnered with Israeli startup Fetcher, which is working its way across the airline industry. And once they establish themselves in the airline industry, they will move to hospitality, car rentals, cruises, whatever, says their co-founder. So if you thought hotels were expensive now, just wait until they're using AI algorithms to determine just how badly you need that hotel room. The author of Generation AI says that the era of fair pricing is over. The price you see is the price the algorithm thinks you'll accept, not a universal rate. And before anyone tries to defend corporations in the comments section, Consumer Watchdog found that the best deals were offered to the wealthiest customers. Surprise, surprise. Meanwhile, the worst deals are given to the poorest people because they are less likely to have other options. This is what we are going to continue to see with unregulated AI. The rich getting richer, the poor getting poorer, a massive extraction of wealth, but now at scale. This is a perfect example of why corporations did not want states to be able to regulate AI and why we're not seeing any AI protections come out of the federal government, because that would get in the way of capitalism. I don't care who you are. This is not going to be just in the travel industry. No matter what your hobby, where you spend your money, AI is coming and it's not going to be in your favor. Now, we desperately need AI regulation. We'll just add it to the very long list of things we desperately need to fix.